What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys know me like I think you know me, you know that I've talked very harshly about the Chicago Bulls defense this season. We got a little bit of stats here to kind of talk about in this regard and just focus on overall how poor it has been. And I'm actually surprised that it's this bad. I've watched the games, I've seen the 140-point performances, I've seen the Bulls get cooked every single night on the defensive end. I've seen all that. I've even heard people say that Bulls games are pickup games these days. They're not serious. They're not focused on one end of the court and stuff of that nature. That's all fine and good. But to kind of take a deeper dive into it, we are almost last in every single defensive category, maybe outside of rebounds, which is unbelievable. So let's talk a little bit about it in this video. Before we get any further, if you like the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and how are we going to improve from here? How are we going to get our defensive end to a stable, maybe even a competent, I mean, that's a big word to throw out there, ladies and gentlemen, a competent level in the NBA. It may never happen. And these stats may just prove it never happened. So, firstly, there's two, sources that I'm going to in relation to this video. One of them is K.C. Johnson, and the other one, I believe, was a short from Chicago Bulls Central, basically suggesting what the stats really are for the Bulls. So, let's take a deeper dive into it. The first thing is, the Bulls' actual defensive rating is 28th. That was 22 hours ago from K.C. Johnson, while the Wizards is 30. So the Wizards look like they're a worse defensive team than us. But that, I personally think, is... I wouldn't say it's a lie. I think the stat is very accurate, but I do think we are a worse defensive team than the Washington Wizards. The points per game that we give up is 30th, and I think that speaks volumes, ladies and gentlemen, to how poor we are on the defensive end, and it's not really even close. We have given up so many more points than the Wizards, who are 29th, by the way, so they're the second team to give up the most points. But it's a landslide, ladies and gentlemen, how much points we give up compared to the Wizards. And we also have opponent field goal percentage, so how efficiently a team is shooting against us, we are 30th in the league in that as well, which means teams look at us and they don't miss. They blink and it's in. They blink and it's three. They blink and it's and one. They breathe and they get a point. That's kind of what it feels like with the Chicago Bulls at the moment. And in all honesty, that to me shows we are a really, really bad defensive team. But then even things like points in the paint, we are dead last in that as well. We give up the most points in the paint in the NBA, and that is not even close. So many really bad defensive stats that are not going in our favor. And look, I'm surprised that it was as bad as it was, because some of these things are like well over 100 points. Like, for example, the point differential that we give up the most points in the league, it's by over 100 points. It's ridiculous, if you know what I mean. I'm pretty sure that's the stat. But it's actually insane how bad it is. And I guess to kind of sum it up and ask the question for you guys, can this be resolved? Can we actually get back to a competent level? Well, for me, the way that I see it, competent level for the Chicago Bulls is like 25th best defensive team in the league, maybe 24, within the 20 range. I don't see us getting to the halfway point. I don't see us getting to where we were last season with Caruso, or a couple seasons ago we were top 10. That's definitely not going to happen for the Chicago Bulls. I think that ship has long sailed, and this season is a bad representation of that. But we could be a lot better than what we are. We could be a lot better than giving up the most points in the NBA by a country mile. We could be a lot better than giving up the most points in the paint by a landslide. We could be better than that. And, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is we need to start making small improvements to rectify this situation. It can't be fixed overnight. We don't have the talent to fix it overnight. And let's put it simply, the effort isn't there to fix it overnight. There are players that are truly not showing up on the defensive end, and they only focus on one half of basketball. And look, this is the best thing about being a team that's trying to find themselves, or I guess, in many ways, being a losing team. You get to truly understand the values of your team. And so far, as a young team that's trying to rebuild, yes, we are competitive in some of those games. We're 7-11. We're 10th in the Eastern Conference. We have a really good offensive rating. I'm pretty sure we could get to that at some point in the near future. But we clearly don't value the defensive end. And that's where we can start focusing our resolutions for the Chicago Bulls with the trade periods and the free agency periods, trying to muster up a defensive capable team in the near future. And you also get to replace guys that don't show up defensively, or guys that are a liability on the defensive end. At the end of the day, if you can't cut it defensively and you're not really contributing offensively, you shouldn't be here. That's two sides of the ball right there. Obviously, if you're a guy that focuses on the offensive end, you better be the absolute best offensive player in the world. If you're going to give up the most points in the league, you need to be the best. You have to be. And that's why I have a big problem, because no one on this Bulls team is the best in the world. No one on this Bulls team is the best offensive player in the world. And we are the worst defensive team in the world. So that's my frustration. So we get to learn, analyze, focus on what needs to be improved in the next season. But still, we can focus about that next season. This season alone, there has to be improvements made. And it has to start with the effort. I'm sorry, look, I will be honest with you. I've not watched all 48 minutes of every single game out there. Unfortunately, this job has got me kind of trapped in the amount of games I can watch and the amount of minutes I can watch of a game. But even I can tell you, in my limited state of the Chicago Bulls, that there is not enough effort being put in on the defensive end. I'm still, from preseason till now, talking about transition defense and how bad it is for the Bulls. No wonder we give up so many points in the paint, because damn near all of them are transition points, because we're not getting back on defense. We talk about pick and roll defense. That's been a problem for years. We've talked about perimeter defense. That's always a problem for the Bulls. It has been for a while. Even at our best, we've been a team that gives up a lot of threes. So again, it's frustrating. It's incredibly annoying to kind of go through, and I understand that you do need changes in the team to fix it, but a lot of it is effort, and I feel like there's not a lot of effort being given on that end from a standpoint of transition, and even when it comes to half-court defense as well. I just feel like we could see a lot better. We're seeing guys just run by to the rim. It's too easy out there, ladies and gentlemen. It's way too easy. And look, we're 7-11 now. We are a playing tournament team at this point in time, but I can't see that being the case in a month, 2 months time. If this is the type of defense we're going to be playing throughout those months, we will eventually get exposed offensively, and defensively we've become that liability that a lot of us feared. So it's time to make a change, ladies and gentlemen, and I think it starts up here first, and then it starts with the physicality and the effort on the other end as well. Let me know if you guys agree. We're going to be facing the Washington Wizards tomorrow. And again, we didn't really talk about the Wizards stats, but they are 30th in defensive rating, so they're technically a worse defensive team than us. They are 29th in opponent points per game, which is second last, and they are 24th in opponent field goal percentage. So on any given night, you could potentially see the Bulls kind of luck out offensively, and the Wizards could kind of take advantage of that. Maybe that's kind of where we're going at. But again, I feel like we're personally a worse defensive team than the Wizards, even if the stats don't necessarily reflect that. What do you think? Thank you for watching. That Wizards game, we might see 150s in here, ladies and gentlemen. We might just see it. We might see 200s at this point. It seems like it's going to be just the easiest offensive game you'll ever think of from both teams. So we'll wait and see if that's what it's going to be. Or heck, maybe both teams decide the best way to show that we can play defense is to clamp each other up. The two worst defensive teams combined for the best defensive game in the world. I don't know. I will see you guys wherever it may be in that game reaction. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care. And peace.